Good evening, residents of Sophia. Good evening to the candidates representing the APNU. Comrades, after listening to my colleagues, I think my task is very simple. But ever so often when you have the opportunity to speak to residents of Georgetown, you want to ensure that they receive the message pellucid. And that message, comrades, is simple. These elections that are going to be had on the 12th of June, these elections are not about red t-shirts or green t-shirts. And especially for you who reside here in Sophia, these elections will determine if you will continue to live in Sophia. And when we say that, what do we mean? We simply mean that if you make the mistake on Monday, June the 12th, and you either don't go out and vote, or you make the mistake and vote for the People's Progressive Party Civic. As the speakers before me said, it is the same People's Progressive Party Civic that was in power for 23 years and never knew of a place named Sophia. It is the same People's Progressive Party Civic that was in power when you here in Sophia had to walk as early as 5:30 in the morning with your children before they go off to school, and they had to go with the buckets at one particular point where they had to go down below to fill a bucket of water, and they had to fetch that all the way back home before they bathe and go to school. That was the same Sophia that under the PPP 23 years in office, they never knew of. But all of a sudden, in the year 2023, Jagdio and the PPP falls in love with Sophia. I said to people that September of this year will mark 26 years since I've been an active member of the PNC. And when I speak to you about the PPP, it is not second-hand information, but it is information from an individual who witnessed the wicked and vindictive behavior of the People's Progressive Party Civic. And when we say to you that these elections are more important than t-shirts, the PPP does nothing unless it stands to benefit. And as you know, Guyana is now an oil-producing country. And as such, you have thousands of people from all countries, from all walks of life, are making their way to come to Guyana to work in the oil and gas industry. And having recognized this fact, the PPP, like all of us know, that those people who are coming to these shores have to be accommodated in houses, in apartments. Many of the PPP supporters, the financiers and the bigwigs, all of them have lands on the east coast of Demerara, and on the east bank of the Mararo, which is outside of Georgetown. And you know that any person going and live in a country, you try to live in the capital city. So here is the plan of the PPP. Across this country, and particularly across Georgetown, New Amsterdam, and Linden, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of properties and vacant lands in which they owe hundreds of thousands of dollars in rates and taxes. But it's the APNU councillors that never use the law which dictates that they can foreclose on your property and they can sell it. The APNU councillors have always standing defense of the citizens of Georgetown and not foreclose on their properties because they owe rates and taxes. What the APNU councillors did is they introduced a period of amnesty that if you owe rates and taxes, you simply have to go to the city council and pay the actual taxes minus the interest. And it is through that program by the APNU councillors in the Georgetown City Council, many of you are able to stay in your homes comfortably. So, for the People's Progressive Party Civic, they need to get their hands on the City Council. Because the instant that they get control of Georgetown, they will move on every single property in Georgetown that owes rates and taxes. So that is why when we say to you that the PPP does nothing unless they stand to benefit. And that brings me now to the minions in Sophia. Young people in Sophia who see it fit to put on a red t-shirt, get $5,000 and a box of cocoa rice, and walking through places like Sophia and telling you that you must vote for the PPP. But as I said to the comrades in Plum Park last night, if you go back to the days of slavery and you read about the slave masters, the white slave masters, when they went to Africa, you never read that it was the white slave masters who ran after the Africans and caught them and enslaved them. That is not part of history. But instead, what the white slave masters did is that they identify Africans and they had those Africans who ran after their own Africans, and that's how Africans were enslaved. So what you have happening today in Guyana, it is the PPP that is using that very same slave masters mentality and method to enslave you by coming into your community, by identifying people that look like you and having them run around to your house and encourage you to vote for the PPP. As I said to the comrades in the village of Mocha, that Ecclesiastes, for those of you that go to church, Ecclesiastes tells us that there is a time and season for everything under the sun. So for many of you who know those individuals in Sophia, Those minions wearing the PPP t-shirts, and you would have went to school with them, or you and them play football, and you said, this is my brethren, this is my friend. But comrades, as I said, Ecclesiastes tells us that there is a time and season for everything under the sun. There is a time to be born and a time to die. There is a time for peace and a time for war. So those very individuals who are running wrong here in Sophia, those minions wearing the PPP t-shirts, they are no longer your friends. They are your enemies. Because what they are doing is essentially paving the way for the PPP to get control of the city. And by virtue of that, they will be able to take away your lands and properties. Like the folks in the village of Mocha on the east bank of the Mararo. I said to them the other night that when you cross the first bridge out of Mocha, you have a housing scheme across the road. If you go farther up the Mocha Road, you will see the young professional housing scheme. If you look to the left, there's another big time housing scheme. So then I asked the folks of Mocha Village, with all of these big fancy housing scheme going up around Mocha, you think the PPP wants you in Mocha? And like here in Sophia, with the PPP's minions running around with the red t-shirts, you have those in the village of Mocha running around telling people in Mocha how the PPP loves them. And just 2 months ago, all of us witnessed live the People's Progressive Party Civic with bulldozers breaking down the people's houses in Mocha. And then those minions put on the red t-shirt and walking around Mocha and telling the people in Mocha that the PPP love them. Just a few days ago, we witnessed again the PPP at its best. The PPP with their so-called One Guyana. This time on the Linden-Soesdijk Highway. In a village by Hillfoot. Bulldozers. Members of the police force with big guns. And the people they are arresting are women in their 90, holding their 3-month-old baby, trying to preserve and save their homes. And they had to watch their homes being bulldozed by the PPP. The very same PPP that all of us, including you here in Sophia, witnessed firsthand their brutality and the careless approach to you. And you got those minions. You got those minions in Sophia running around with red t-shirts telling you that you must vote for the PPP. And I tell you the method of the PPP. There is a method to their madness. To have those very same faces that looks like you to come after you. When we talk about economics, those of you that reside in Georgetown, those of you here in Sophia, you may not believe it, but it is the reality that if 3 years ago Your property here in Sophia was valued at $15 million. 3 years after that, with Guyana being an oil producing country, the lands, your houses right here in Sophia has now tripled. So the PPP wouldn't come and tell you that the house that you're living in, that 3 years ago, it was $15 million. They wouldn't tell you now that your very same property is worth $45 million. They wouldn't tell you that. They know. So if you run the risk and have them elected in the municipality of Georgetown, those very rates and taxes is what they will use to kill you, because you will be unable to pay the outstanding rates and taxes, and the People's Progressive Party Civic will foreclose on your property. You here in Sophia, you are aware that just aback of this village, there is a massive 4-lane road that is running all the way from the East Bank, coming all the way, and will be exiting there by Ogle. So there again, because of Sophia's proximity to that road, your property value will go up once again. I said to the folks in central Georgetown, you see the big road, that big Mandela Road that runs from the cultural center called Mandela, and then it wraps around at the back called Back Road, and then you got by the Jumbie Bird, and that goes up to Eccles. The property value for houses in large housing scheme, Tocqueville, Meadowbrook, Guy Hawk, Tocqueville Terrace, Roxanne Barnum Garden, North Rumvelt, South Rumvelt, Rossville, Container City, East Rumvelt, West Rumvelt, Northeast La Penitence, Albistown, Alexander Village, all of those properties in those areas, the value has tripled. The value has tripled. So at one time, when you got places like Warlock Alley, if you're familiar with the area, like Warlock, like Front Circle, like Back Circle, what the same PPP used to call the ghetto, and they condemned them, and had police used to be running up and down, arresting young men just because they smoke, they're burning a spliff, or a roachie, or a shoelace. That's a little shoelace. And the police pick them up on Friday and detain them till Monday. The same areas, Back Circle, Front Circle, Warlock Alley, all of a sudden, the PPP knows Back Circle, Front Circle, and Warlock. And suddenly ministers running in and they hugging up, and 1 or 2 people get carried away. But when I look as a person involved in politics for a number of years, and I see these young people hugging up the PPP, and I reflect during the days of Bharat Jagdeo as president, when for the first time in Guyana's history, you had a phantom death squad in operation. Every day during that period of the so caring People's Progressive Party Civic, you had a phantom death squad that was killing young men of African descent left, right, and center. And Sophia was no stranger to the PPP's phantom death squad. People said at that time that many Guyanese believe that we had a 5th stanza of the national anthem. And that 5th stanza was that song, How Many More? How many more? You had neighbors. You had neighbors shouting to neighbors, turn to Sharma, turn on your TV to Sharma. And when you turn to Sharma, you see breaking news, drive-by shooting, 4 dead, shooting in bar, young woman get kidnapped, taxi driver kidnapped and killed, and the list goes on. The very same PPP, but all of a sudden, PPP discovered like Christopher Columbus. But even that history story is false. But I'm not here to deal with that tonight. But like Christopher Columbus, the People's Progressive Party Civic has just discovered a place called Sophia. And ministers running left, right, and center. All of a sudden, ministers want to hold a rake to clean gutter in Sophia. All of a sudden, ministers know that people in Sophia drive cars and ride bikes, and they need paved roads. All of a sudden, the comrades say, out to the blue moon. Out of the blue moon, PPP discovers Sophia. And as we said to you, that the PPP does nothing unless they will benefit. Last night when I spoke at Plum Park, and I made mention about the amnesty that the APNU Council put in place to protect you from losing your homes to the PPP. One, Susan Rodriguez, took the Almighty God out of her thoughts and decided that she would want to respond to me. Now, comrades, I say to people often, in life and politics, there is perception and there is reality. And when it comes to speaking the reality of what is happening in Guyana, this one lone servant of the people don't hold back. And if the young lady wants to challenge me, I will say to her tonight that you are threatening me in waters in which I can swim. So, young Susan, if you're feeling froggy, my friend, jump. If you're feeling froggy, jump. But what she did was confirm to all and sundry that indeed the APNU had an amnesty period which provided the opportunity for people to pay their taxes. That is what the PPP is gone in after. I said to the folks there in Albaistong and particularly Pontrench, you know Pontrench, they're building this road, two-side road with lights and all of that. And some folks gone with the camera and saying, by look, progress. Progress. The same progress to a party who've been in power for 26 years. I never know about Albaistong and Pontrench, but all of a sudden, they know Pontrench. And as I said to the folks in Albaistong and Pontrench, that road, it is not for you. That's what you mean. I said that road, it is not for you. And I'll give you an example. If you go by the roundabout, by the Jumbie board, where that road was just recently opened, you would discover that all of the lands on the east and western side of that road after the Jumbie board, every single land was already sold before the road was even constructed. Because, comrades, it is about economics. The PPP wouldn't spend hundreds of millions of dollars to build a road unless they get in returns. So to the folks in Pontrench and Albystone, that road that costs hundreds of millions of dollars, built by the PPP, it is not for you. I asked one of the youngsters who live in Pontrench, I said, where you live? He said, I live in right here. I said, show me the transport. Show me the transport for the house that you're living in. He said, no. Me grandmother barn and grow hay. My mother barn and grow hay. And I barn and grow hay. This is me house. You understand what I'm telling you? So they are of the opinion, because your mama and your granny barn there and you barn there, this is one you want. But the reality in law is documentation, is transport for property, is lease of ownership. So therefore you know nothing. And that is when the PPP will walk through that same Pontrench, if they ever get control of the municipality, and all of those houses that nobody could produce transport for, that said the mom and daddy barn and grow, then they barn that they make it their own, and they got take each and every single one away from them one by one. Somebody said, but you got the aspect of the law that prevents them from doing that. I said, comrades, listen, this is my second stint as a parliamentarian, therefore I pass laws. And I can tell you that if the PPP want to rename Sophia and you here in Sophia object, the PPP will go and change the law and come and change Sophia name. And case in point, the PAC, the Public Accounts Committee of the Parliament, for all of the years, it has been chaired by the opposition. When the PPP was in opposition, Irfan Ali was the chairman of the PAC. Now that we are in the opposition, it is chaired by us, by German Figueroa. And ever so often, the PPP don't turn up to the PAC meetings. So therefore, our members on the PAC will continue the business. But the PPP recognize, by virtue of them being present and the PPP absent, it puts them at a disadvantage. The PPP brought a law, an amendment to the law, and changed the law that now says, unless you got 2 members of the PPP and 2 members of the APNU AFC, if you don't get that, then there's no meeting. And just yesterday, Monday, the PAC meets every Monday. Yesterday again, the PPP was a no-show. So therefore, there is no accountability as it relates to the monies that are being spent in this country. Yesterday brought the total amount of meetings had to be cancelled because the PPP was absent to 17. And that is the same government that preaches to you that they like transparency and accountability. I said all of that to say to you that if you make the mistake and the PPP takes control of this municipality, they will amend laws that otherwise the APNU restrict, and they will foreclose on your property in Georgetown. And it's the same thing that will happen to New Amsterdam, because if you are following the oil and gas industry, Shorebase is currently moving operation and setting up shop in New Amsterdam. So therefore, just like Georgetown, those people who are coming from overseas to work in the oil and gas industry, they need houses and apartments in New Amsterdam. And then you just saw Irfan Ali return from Brazil, where he met with the Brazilian president. And amongst the things that they discussed was the road coming from Brazil. But comrades, you know where that road will have to touch? It has to touch a municipality by the name of Linden. And there again, in Linden, they are not supporters of the PPP. So these elections are not by accident. It is a careful, orchestrated plot by the PPP to continue enriching their friends, family, and favorites. The move by the PPP is to dispossess you of your wealth, which is your land and your properties. The same thing will befall those comrades in the village of Mocha. That is the same move, because they don't want the people in Mocha where they are. I said to the people in Pontrench and Albaistong, if you sell your birthright cheap and you sell your property in Albaistong for next to nothing, when you pass back through Albaistong at the same location where the house was, and 4-story apartment buildings, you're going to want to know if it's the same lot that you had. And when they're moving you, the housing ministry will come and give everybody a house lot. Look, you get a house lot, you get a house lot. And you all excited that you get a house lot. But really and truly, comrades, all you got is a piece of paper that says you have a house lot. Because when you go to the area where you're supposed to have a house lot, all you see is bush. There is no road for you to get into your house lot. There is no water for you to do construction. There is no electricity. And then worse, when you go to the commercial bank for a loan, they say, boy, you're a public servant, you're a teacher, you're a nurse, you're a policeman, you're a soldier, you're a fireman, you're a prison officer. Your salary isn't adequate to pay for the loan. So therefore, you at one point in time excited because you got a paper that says you have a house lot, but then you realize your income doesn't allow you to get a loan to construct anything. And that is the reality. And when we speak about discrimination in this country, they're quick to jump and say, you are a racist. But comrades, that is what they do, to silence you from speaking about the reality. But as I said before, in life and politics, there is perception and there is reality. And I, having been involved in politics for a number of years in this country, and having witnessed the brutality, wicked and vindictive behavior of the PPP, will be doing you an injustice not to speak on the issues that affects you. And that issue that affects you is the blatant issue of racial discrimination by the People's Progressive Party Civic. They don't want you to speak about the elephant in the room. And as I did last year, and I did recently, I'll do it again tonight. I challenge the commercial banks in this country to share with us, percentage-wise, the amount of loans that was issued to Guyanese. And we want the breakdown for ethnicity. And not only the breakdown by ethnicity, but we want to know the amount. Because they can show you that, look, To Afro-Guyanese, we give 1,000 loans. To East Indian Guyanese, we give 1,000 loan. But when you look in between that, you realize that the amount of monies that the 1,000 Afro-Guyanese get is 100,000. But the loans that the 1,000 East Indian Guyanese get is $10 and $20 million. So I challenge the commercial banks again to prove me wrong that there's no discrimination in this country. There isn't move to dispossess Afro-Guyanese of wealth. You go to Lands and Sophia and apply for a land that you want to do agriculture, and you get the royal runaround. Meanwhile, there are other folks who got hundreds of acres. So it appears that one set of people know for do agriculture and another set in no but do. And it comes back to what the comrade spoke about earlier tonight, about these contracts, about these contracts that the minions in Sophia wearing those red t-shirts, running around to your young men and telling you that they could give you a contract, and the contract is for $50,000, $100,000, and $150,000. And what is the contract for? Clean the gutter. So apparently, when you born, when you went to school, when you graduate, the only thing you were taught in school that you could clean gutter. So you are now an international contractor to clean gutter. And you go to other villages, predominantly those support villages of the People's Progressive Party Civic. The young people there are given loans in the millions of dollars for IT business, to open an IT internet center, a photocopying room, stationery distribution, and the likes. But when it comes to Sophia and villages like Sophia, you're getting $50,000 for clean gutter. Just earlier today, I learned about a project, because this is what the PPP doing. You know, it's like dark season. You know, it's like dark season. So right now, Georgetown, New Amsterdam, and Linden is like the mama dog. And all the PPP man, them running behind the mama dog. It's dark season. So they're running, smile up, take picture, hug up, give you voucher, give you $50,000 contract, buy some beers. Because last night I see a TikTok video, a young woman who otherwise looks very intelligent. She hair long from she neck to she throat or beyond she kneecap. And the woman on the road, Lane Avenue, and she balancing because why? Somebody bless you with a Heineken beer and a red t-shirt. You understand what I'm telling you, comrades? Because essentially this is how the People's Progressive Party Civic views you. Degenerates, less than anything important. So if I go through Lane Avenue, I could give you a red t-shirt and a Heineken beer, and you go palance on the street because it's the best thing ever. The Heineken beer will breastfeed your child. The Heineken beer will put pampers on your baby. The Heineken beer will give you formula to feed your children. The Heineken beer will pay your rent. The Heineken beer will pay GPL. That is how disrespectful the People's Progressive Party to your intelligence. This cash grant, all of a sudden, Priya, demonic Chan, all of a sudden, distributing cash grant 6 days before an election. And they got the brass face to tell you that the cash grant has nothing to do with local government elections. That is how disrespectful the people to your intelligence. Because they are of the opinion that all Guyanese went to IFLOT University with Irfan Ali. And Priya Demonic Chan is of the opinion that all Guyanese were part of her no child left behind policy. And that is why we say to you here in Sophia, you are a proud people. Because when you came into Sophia, to settle in Sophia, this place was bush, alligator, anaconda. And it is you, the people of Sophia, who started the development of Sophia. The PPP didn't run in here and help you build Sophia. And you are a proud people. And on Monday, the 12th of June, you have to put a stop to the PPP's disrespect to your intelligence. I see a young man in Linden, big, strong, strapping one, red jersey on, and he's sharing out jerseys on the park. Said to the big man, yeah, free jersey. You want one? Look, put it on, put it on. The man responded to him appropriately. The man said, and I quote, I ain't gonna put it on, I'm gonna take it and wipe my ass with it. That man needs to get a national award. And again, as I said before, look at the people who are sharing the t-shirts. Look at the people who drinking the Heineken beer and whining on Lane Avenue. You understand me? I could imagine in certain villages, stronghold of the PPP, when they watch and see those minions with those red t-shirts, them people must laugh from morning to afternoon. And I could imagine what they be saying. Look that blip, blip, blip. All you gotta give them is 2 banks beer and look at them beep, beep, beep. That is what is happening. That is what is happening. I said to people, I said it here tonight. The comrades before me said it here tonight. But Forbes Burnham always said that it is a sign of maturity when you read not only what is on the lines, but what is between the lines. I just shared with you, you read between the lines. That is the reality of this country. And comrades, in closing, I said to you that on Monday the 12th, irrespective of which part of this beautiful country you live, but particularly if you live in Linden, New Amsterdam, Georgetown, Mocha, Agricola, those folks in East and West Rheinbelt, Northeast Le Penitence, I'm speaking to you. You here in Sophia, I'm speaking to you. Those of you as far as Belladrum, Hope Tongue, Number 5, Ithaca, I am speaking to you. That 26 years involved in politics, I know what I'm telling you about the PPP. The People's Progressive Party Civic has no respect for you. As far as they are concerned, Guyanese are ignorant people. And we are saying to you, on Monday the 12th of June, you have to come out and put an end or a stop to the People's Progressive Party Civic disrespect to your intelligence. When you go and vote on Monday the 12th, you are not only voting for yourself. When you place your X, it determines the future of your children. So if you make the mistake and you hand any of these municipalities to the PPP, A few years from now, it is your daughter and your son that is going to be dealing with the consequences. For they will not be able to live in the municipality. The People's Progressive Party Civic will increase rates and taxes. The People's Progressive Party Civic will foreclose on those properties that has outstanding rates and taxes. The People's Progressive Party Civic will sell your property and land to their financiers, their friends, family, and favorites who are awaiting the end of these elections to take over the city. That is what these elections are about. I said to the folks in Mocha that we are not here to stand as preachers as if we are in a church. But I quoted to you Ecclesiastes, and I will say to you this, like the good book said, if it was not so, comrades, I would have told you so. If the candidate Clayton Hines and young Mohammed is not good for Sophia, friends, I would have told you so. And just what I said to you tonight, comrades, it is so. The PPP does not care about you. It is about economics. No one spends hundreds of millions of dollars in any community unless they got a plan for it. And that plan, my friends, does not include you. The fact that the PPP could disrespect your young people in these communities that believe the only thing they are good for is $10,000, a red t-shirt, and a Heineken beer. It says to you exactly how the People's Progressive Party Civic view you and your children and your young people. These elections are not about Aubrey Norton. These elections are not about the APNU. These elections are about you, yourself, and your survival. And comrades, as I said before, if it was not so, I would have told you so. Finally, as a youngster growing up on the Essequibo coast in a village called Devonshire Castle, and my father from Queenstown, you had the opportunity of being around your grandparents and a lot of elders. And after they give you all of the long talk about life and how you must live life as a young man and what you must do and go to church, etc. When they finish telling you all of that, they say, son, last but not least, you can take the animal to the water, but you cannot make it drink. My friends, the APNU candidates across this country, we have taken you to the water. We have shared with you the information and the facts, the whole truth and nothing but the truth. On Monday, the 12th of April, Monday, the 12th of June, it is up to you, my friends. It is all up to you. All of your eggs are in your basket. You can decide if you're going to drop it and scramble it, or you can decide if you're going to take it and make a meal. At the end of the day, the choice is yours. It was Buju Banton. I know the chairman is standing by because I said I'm closing. But there is a thing that you say, you never give a politician a mic because you left them to talk all night. But it was Buju Banton, famous, all of us sing his song. And when we talk about these elections, and depends on what you do, and you make the mistake and you give up the municipality, Buju Banton's song will come to play. Who can afford to run will run. But what about those who can't? Them will have to stay. And opportunities like these for voting comes around once in a season. And when after these elections, you can't look back and say, I could have voted, I should have voted, and if only I went out and vote. Monday the 12th is not about Aubrey Norton. It's not about the APNU. Monday the 12th is about your vote to protect the future of your picnic. Dance with your t-shirt. Drink your Heineken beer. $10,000 done in 2 days. When the election done, you're back to square one. Because as I know the PPP, they use you for a season. And when they're done with you, they dispose of you like a used condom. If you don't believe me, ask my good friend Mark Benchcup. If you don't believe me, comrades, ask my good friend Mark Benchcup. Because way back in the days, Mark Benchcup was brought to these shores by the PPP. And I recall Mark having these programs on Channel 65. I recall Mark speaking about you, Desmond Hoyt. It was the lead up to one of the elections before you, Desmond Hoyt, died. And Mark Benchcup was on his program. And Mark said, I don't know why you are running behind Desmond Hoyt. The man got a battery in his heart. And you have that hope that he got a Duracell or an Energizer battery and not a rocket battery. Because when he jump up on the platform, he might drop down. And then Mark Benchcup and the PPP fall bad. And Mark started to cuss them out. Mark cussed them out so loud that they slapped a treason charge on poor Mark. Then you got Freddie Kissoon, one time good friend of the PPP. Freddie know everything. Freddie know about Chetty, Janet, Joey. Everybody Freddie know. And then suddenly Freddie fall bad with the PPP. That Freddie got a house on the line top. That the PPP doing the silting of the drains. And when they reach right in front of Freddie house, they skip and pass and go down. The thing make front page newspapers. You think the PPP would have been so embarrassed that they would have gone back and clean it up? Everybody talk about it on the newscast. Then do nothing. Freddie continue on the PPP. And then one night poor Freddie walking somewhere there in Border. And all poor Freddie Kissoon here is bash. Freddie rubbing his face. What is this? Hello? What is this? It smells like piss. A whole bag of feces in Freddie Kissoon's face for cussing out the PPP. But despite all of that Freddie Kissoon witness of the PPP, Freddie Kissoon on the program with Gildari telling you that you should give the PPP a chance. You know, my grandmother would have said, son, it's just some time. Despite all that the PPP did to the man, he is now every night on a program telling you that you must give the PPP a chance. Give the PPP a chance for what? To fling a bag of shit in your face? It was the same Freddie Kissoon that took the PPP to court. And when one Dr. Roger Luncheon took to the stand, and the question was asked, by Nigel Hughes? Why aren't they Afro-Guyanese in foreign service? And Dr. Roger Lunchan's response was that the African Guyanese are not qualified to be in those positions. It is the same Freddie Kissoon that exposed them and deposed them. Now Freddie telling we for vote for the PPP. And that is why we say to you here in Sophia, speak to those young people in Sophia. Speak to those young ones who parading themselves with the rare t-shirt and a Heineken beer. That when the PPP done with them, after Monday, just a few days from now, they will dispose of them like a used condom. That is my message to you tonight. When you vote on the 12th of June, you voted for me. I ain't running for nothing. You voted for Aubrey North, you ain't running for nothing neither. You voted for your children, and you're voting to protect the property, the land that you got, and you're voting to put an end to the People's Progressive Party civic disrespect to your intelligence. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Christopher Jones, for a well put together speech. The PPP is no good for Georgetown. With that, I'd like to thank all who came out to this meeting tonight, all who listening from the windows and from the verandas. I come to you yet again on behalf of the Partnership for National Unity. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And on 12th of June, come out and vote APNU. Good night.